Bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got Bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got Bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs.
Bows and TKOs. We are live, episode 132, coming at you from the Valley. I'm your host, Shane Gillette, for this weekly MMA podcast, streaming anywhere you listen to podcasts with the videos on YouTube. And we got a good show today. We are going to talk about fights that have been announced, recap the wonderful UFC 325 pay-per-view, and preview this weekend's UFC Fight Night Vegas 113 card. And we're going to just jump right in. We have some fights that have been announced. All on the March 21st London card. We have Michael Venom Page taking on Sam Patterson. Pretty shocked about the matchup. Michael Venom Page has said he feels like he is being slighted by the UFC or he made somebody mad. I just feel like he deserves quality opponent, especially after the last win. We have Melissa Mullins taking on Luana Carolina. Luke Riley and Michael Aswell. Luke Riley trains at Patty Pimblett's gym, big up-and-comer. We have Mick Parkin, who trains with champion Tom Aspinall, taking on Mario Pinto, which should be a doozy. Nathaniel Wood is taking on Lucene Kita, who's making his UFC debut. And then we have, finally, clarity. What is going to happen for Volkanovski? The two number one contenders are going to face up first before taking on the featherweight GOAT, as we get Mosfar Evloev and Lerone Murphy. So that is going to be one hell of a fight. Can't wait for that one. And then some fights booked for UFC 327. We have Cub Swanson and Nate Landwehr. Nate the Train and Killer Cub, sign me up for that. We have Andre Lima taking on Dong Hun Choi. And then we also have Kyle Dawkins taking on Vicente Luque. Otherwhere in MMA news, the UFC is returning to Macau, China, May 30th, so it must have went well last year. They want to go back. So it'll be interesting to see who they book on that card. I believe Road to the UFC will be involved. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov announced that he had re-injured his knee, so he will probably remain sidelined for the rest of the year. Brutal situation, guy in his prime. I think one of the best contenders to take down Islam Makhachev. So hopefully he returns and heals quickly. Outside of Apex action, we also have the PFL back. We have PFL Dubai Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. This will be on ESPN Unlimited. So you got to have the unlimited subscription. Some big names here. We have Usman Nurmagomedov taking on Alfie Davis. I expect Usman to make slight work, which is interesting because if he wins this fight, I think this is his last year on the PFL contract. Maybe opens a door for him to join the UFC. We also have Ramazan Kuramagomedov taking on Shamil Musayev. Really good fight. I'm going to side with Shamil on this one. We have Jesus Pinedo taking on Salamat Isbulayev. People are really high on Salamat. Jesus Pinedo, one hell of a striker. I don't know enough about Salamat. I'll take Pinedo. Ex-UFCer Taylor Lapilus taking on Kasum Kasumov. All these guys have like double last names. I'm going to take former UFCer Taylor Lapilus in that one. And then Luke Trainer taking on Rob Wilkinson, who was busted for steroids a couple of years ago. I am going to vouch for Luke Trainer. But let's get into it. Let's talk about what went down last weekend down under UFC 325. Your boy is starting the year off hot. 8-2 on my picks. Overall, 795 wins, 396 losses, 12 no contests and draws. And on the year, we're at 15-6. So to recap this card, Australia performed pretty well. They went 6-3 for all the Aussies. The energy for the main card was rocking for a Sunday afternoon in Sydney. We had the road to the UFC finals. Definitely some mixed results in there. A bunch of weight fiascos, but the stage was set well. We had the Con Offley fight. Very head scratching. I picked Khan. I thought Yiza got robbed in that fight. I'm not sure how they give that fight to Khan, but it is what it is. The rest of the prelims were okay, but the main card had all the violence, as you would expect, and of course the rematch delivered, although somewhat similar to the first bout as I expected. But I am going to recap 325, a 6 out of 10. I gave 324 a 7 out of 10. And then when we look at the Paramount Plus setup, I do feel like they've improved from the last pay-per-view. There was some weird connectivity issues early. I think it was worse overseas in other places. But I thought they had a better camera angle, a little bit more wide so we could see their feet, see their stances. They had a better way of doing picture-in-picture with ads, so we actually get to see the walkouts, get to see the coaches in the corner. But watching the fight back, if you go and watch the fights, there are no walkouts, but they have added corner advice. I would like to see the walkouts at least for the main card, but they are already improving. You love to see it. So let's get into it. A couple fights we did not break down. We had Nichiro Nakamura with a round 3 TKO over Sebastian Sazalay for the road to the UFC Championship. And then Jonathan Mikalev with a round 2 submission via rear naked choke over Oban Elliott. One of the fights I got wrong. Brutal stretch for Oban. Big win from Jonathan. But let's kick this off in the prelims. We had Jacob Malkoun with a unanimous decision over Torres Finney. And as I expected, Jacob not only out-wrestled Torres, but he outstruck Torres as well. I mean, Torres is in deep waters for his UFC career. Going against a guy that the UFC had actually cut, I did not agree with it, because I think he's very talented, and he showcased why in this fight. I was hoping Jacob would get the finish, but Torres is a tough dude. It's announced that he probably tore up his knee in the fight as well. But Finney was just big, wide, loopy, winging shots. At this level of professional fighting, that's not going to cut it. And Jacob took advantage. Good for Jacob to come back and get a nice win. And that was Torres' first loss, so he's no slouch. But the stats speak for how lopsided this was. Jacob landed 151 total strikes, 117 of them significant. He had 2 takedowns in 8 attempts, so not a great percentage, but he still took the big dude down. He also had 3 submission attempts, a knockdown, and 5 minutes and 16 seconds of control time. Now, Torres landed 42 total, 27 significant. He was 0 for 1 in takedown attempts. It's got to be his first pro fight without a takedown. So now Jacob extends that winning streak to 2. He is 2-1 since 2023. And Torres ends that 11-fight winning streak. He starts a new losing streak. He is now 2-1 in the UFC. So what's next? I think Jacob should have a chance to move up. I doubt anyone wanted to fight Torres Finney. I think a matchup with Jung Young Park would be great. And for Torres, I think he still gets another shot. So how about a veteran in Andre Muniz? Moving on, Aussies getting started with Cam Rouston with a round 2 TKO over Cody Brundage. I had a feeling this would be a high-paced, high-action fight, and that's exactly what it was. I just expected Cody to really push his offensive wrestling, and that was really his demise in this fight, as he wanted to put on a highlight, and he turned into a highlight. I mean, Cam immediately came forward, was aggressive, landing big, nice, straight shots, and Cody was fighting off the cage for a majority of the fight, which is not good against a long, lengthy striker like Rouston. And midway through the first round, Cody started loading up on big, massive combinations, but he landed very few of them. Cam caught him in the clinch, had some nice knees, and then chaos was everywhere. Cody rocked Cam with some bombs as well, but Cam clearly had the speed advantage, and Cody was just looking to counter him in this fight. Cam finished round one well, picking at Cody as he was swinging recklessly. So I had Cam up 1-0 going into round 2. The second round, Cody very flat-footed with his striking, kind of trying to track Cody down as he was moving or worry about having return fire. But Cam was able to get on top of Cody and throw a ton of ground and pound. Cody just kind of balled up and gave up, even though he didn't land clean shots. I was a little surprised about that, as Cody has been in some brawls. But huge win for the Aussie. Cody's probably counting down the days of his UFC life. Statistically, Cam landed 73 total strikes, 57 of them significant. Cody only landed 31 total, 29 significant, so less than half. He was 0 for 1 in takedowns. But Cam extends that winning streak to 6, 3-0 in the UFC. He had 2 minutes and 4 seconds of control time as well. And Cody extends that losing streak to 2. He is 3-5-2 since 2023. Although he's been active, not a very good record. So what's next? I say give Cam up the rankings. How about Kelvin Gastelum? I think that's a fun fight. And for Cody, I think he gets one more chance at the UFC. So I'm going to say book him against Andrei Pulyayev. I think that's the fight to make. Moving on. We had Billy Elikana with a round 2 submission via rear naked choke over Junior Tafa. And Billy came out aggressive right out the jump, trying to pressure Junior. You can't get pressured back by Tafa because he was throwing huge overhands. And he landed a big right after Billy was aggressive. It actually sat Billy down early. And I was like, oh crap, I should have picked Tafa. But he was able to regain himself somehow. After that, they were pretty measured for a while. I think they kind of gassed each other out. But then Billy tried for a takedown, which was smart. But Tafa showcased good takedown defense up against the cage. Well, Tafa continued to land big strikes that rocked Billy. I thought Junior easily took round 1, showed the wrestling defense. Well, round 2, things were different. I thought Junior looked to be in great shape because everything was working on the feet. And Billy looked to started to tire at the end of round 1. So I was interested to see how he would hold up in round 2. In round 2, Tafa started out sharp with his snappy right jab. Then after about 2 minutes in the round, Billy landed a nice combo, finishing with a right for his first big moment in the fight. After that, Billy got a nice leg trip takedown up against the cage. And as you know, you get Tafa's down. He was easily able to flatten him out and fully mount him. And as Tafa tried to turtle up, Billy got a body triangle in, got his back, was able to set up a rear naked choke for the win. Big win for Billy Elikana. I thought Tafa looked good, and I would love to see him back. Statistically, Junior landed 38 total and significant strikes. He did have a knockdown. And Billy landed 27 total, 24 of them significant. He was 1 for 5 in takedown attempts, had a submission attempt, and a minute and 40 seconds of control time. So Junior did show improved takedown defense, still needs to work at it. I thought he was doing work on the feet, but it only took 1 takedown for Elikana to get the win. So now Billy extends that winning streak to 3. He is 3-1 in the UFC. And Junior extends his losing streak to 2. He is 2-5 since 2023, but he's 0-2 since moving down to light heavyweight. So what's next? I think Billy and Modestas Bukauskas, who fought recently, would be fun. For Junior, I think he gets one more chance, like I said. He really did look good with his hands. So let's just book a banger. Let's do Tafa and Ibo Aslan. The winner gets to keep their roster spot. Well, that set us up for the main card. Aussie versus Aussie crime. But the young Quillian Salkilde had a round 1 submission via neck crank, which isn't a rear naked choke. It's really a smashing and tweaking of the neck over Jamie Malarkey. This gave him performance of the night. 100 G's to the young stud. And I mean, Quillian came out aggressive. He was landing shots, somehow snuck in kind of a cheeky takedown, but Jamie was able to get back up right away and actually got a takedown of his own, but he wasn't able to do anything with it. And after a bunch of work against the cage, Quillian had a beautiful toss, was able to get Jamie's back and put in that nasty neck crank in for a quick finish. Quillian Salkilde, if you don't know, he's a rocket ship right now, still young. And it didn't take much. Statistically, Quillian only landed 18 total strikes, 5 of them significant. He did have 2 takedowns in 3 attempts and a submission attempt. And Jamie landed 6 total strikes, only 1 significant. He had a takedown and a minute and 14 seconds of control time. So Quillian extends his winning streak to 10, 5-0 in the UFC. Jamie starts a new losing streak. He is 3-4 since 2023. So what's next? Salkilde said he wants to be in the top 15. I don't think he quite gets there. We don't need to rush him. I think a fight with Ludovic Klein would be fantastic. And for Jamie, how about a showdown with Jai Herbert? Then we had the big boys, the long-awaited return of Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. Well, this was all Taliesin Teixeira as he got the unanimous decision over Tai Tuivasa. Did not expect this to go to the judges' scorecards. But as you would expect, Tai, with all that time off, went right at Taliesin at the beginning of the fight, and he put himself in position to be taken down by Teixeira by being overly aggressive. He got trapped up against the cage. Taliesin landed some nice ground and pound, and Tai battled hard to get back up throughout the round, but he was taken back down eventually and got fully mounted. Tai continued to battle hard for most of the round with Taliesin on his back. A big dude like that cannot be nice, has to be exhausting. And I figured Tai would be gassed at that point and he'd be done. But he was just trying to survive. And he actually landed a nice knee that trapped Taliesin up against the cage to get to round 2. But Taliesin easily up 1-0. In round 2, they got right after it. I mean, Tai was pressuring Taliesin up against the cage again, even landed some nice leg kicks. And Tai showcased some very bad striking defense in this round. I think Taliesin landed a 4-piece chicken nugget where Tai just headbutted the punches. And then right after that, Taliesin blast double-legged him, got on top of Tai again. Tai, terrible sprawl attempts, got to pop those hips back. But Tai just seemed like he was complacent, stuck on the bottom. I think both men were pretty worn out at this point. Very little ground and pound, just a couple taps here and there. But Tai at this point, down 2 rounds, has to get a finish in the third and final round. Well, at the start of round 3, both men completely gassed at this point. And Tai pressured again because he knows he needs to get the finish. And at this point was basically just leaning up against the cage on Taliesin, which honestly, I can't believe he didn't try to stand and strike with Taliesin because Taliesin's body language was so bad. Then after about 2 minutes of wearing on each other, Tai disengaged and just started launching bombs on Taliesin. And Taliesin had wobbly, shaky legs, but Tai was so exhausted that he ended up clinching back up versus throwing more strikes, which I think cost him the fight. You hate to see it. You come back after all that time, and you're too exhausted to get the dub. Neither man really had enough energy to even throw 10 strikes. But if Tai would have been able to throw probably 10, he would have got the finish. And then with a minute left in round 3, Tai actually controlled Taliesin. He was on top. And again, he just kind of laid on him while he was on the turtle position. Why can't he throw ground and pound? I'm assuming exhaustion. He went a little bit after it with about 10 seconds left, but way too little, way too late. Big win for Taliesin. Brutal return for Tai. You got to get in better shape, and you can't be taken down like that. Learn how to sprawl, brother. Statistically, Tai landed 56 total strikes, 42 of them significant. He had 3 minutes and 58 seconds of control time. A lot of that round 3 leaning up against the cage, holding him down on turtle. Again, some ground and pound, a couple more shots. I think he would have got the finish. Taliesin landed 117 total, so more than double. 51 of them significant, so 9 more. And he had 3 takedowns and 9 attempts. So Tai did show some defense, but it wasn't enough. He had 7 minutes of control time. So Taliesin starts a new winning streak. He is 3-1 in the UFC. He moves up 4 spots in the rankings to number 11. And Tai extends his losing streak to 6. He has not won since February of 2022. He drops 3 spots in the rankings to number 15. So what's next? A lot of the divisions booked. I think Taliesin's going to have to let things shake out. And for Tai, I'm not sure if he's going to get another crack at it, but I think he's marketable enough. I'm guessing he will. And I think a matchup against Janata Deniz would be the perfect matchup for him. Moving on to my pick of fight of the night, we had Mauricio Huffy with a round 2 TKO over Rafael Fiziev. Performance of the night, another 100 Gs. Man, Mauricio Huffy, I got this fight wrong, but watching Fiziev, he is just so beautifully technical. The way he changes stances, the way he feints at Ruffy. He had Ruffy backed up against the cage. And Ruffy kind of with that Conor McGregor karate stance, very wide stance. he left an opening for lower leg kicks from Fiziev. And Ruffy clearly was just looking to counter Fiziev. Every time he jabbed, he'd come over with a big right over. And Rafael, though, in round 1 was definitely bringing the offense early. He doubled the volume that Mauricio did. But Mauricio, man, much like McGregor, he is an absolute sniper with his right hand. Although he's a sniper, Fiziev was controlling the fight. I thought clearly won the first. But the story was how beaten Ruffy's leg was at the end of the round. I mean, it was chopped liver. Starting round 2, Fiziev again applied the pressure, had Ruffy up against the cage, and he just wasn't throwing enough. When Fiziev had Ruffy up against the cage, I just felt like he needed to do more than just pop that lead jab out. Although it was landing nice and clean, I think he needed to follow it up with like a 3 to 4 strike combo. And credit to Fiziev, I think, or credit to Ruffy, I think Rafael respected the speed and power of Ruffy from what he felt in round 1 and didn't want to put himself in danger. But with about a minute left in round 2, Mauricio landed a massive right that sat Fiziev down, and he pounced on him. Fiziev lasted for quite a while. The fight probably could have been called earlier, but a massive win for Ruffy. Fiziev, man, he has just fought absolute killers in his UFC career and is just stuck in what I think is the best division in the sport. Statistically, Rafael landed 37 total strikes, 36 of them significant. He was 0 for 1 in takedowns. And Mauricio landed 60 total strikes, 55 of them significant, with a knockdown. So Mauricio starts a new winning streak. He is 5-1 since 2023. He moves up 5 spots in the rankings to number 9. And Rafael starts a new losing streak. He is 1-4 since 2023. Again, against certified killers. But he drops 2 spots in the rankings to number 11. So what's next? I do think Mauricio should get a top 5 opponent. But with the log jam at the top of the division, I think he's going to have to fight Renato Moicano unless he wants to sit on the bench for a while. And for Rafael, I think a very tough loss in the middle of his prime. But let's just book another banger against Michael Chandler, potentially even on the White House card. Moving on to the co-main event. Another fight I got wrong. We had Benoit Saint-Denis with a round 2 TKO over Dan Hooker. And Dan did start this fight off very well, using his length to his advantage, and he was going to work on BSD's body. You could see it was starting to bother him midway through round 1. He landed a teep kick that really had PSD down bad, but as expected, Benoit delivered some more takedown attempts and was able to control Dan after getting some body work done for a good amount of time. He landed some good ground and pound as well. Dan's best takedown defense in this fight was every time BSD got deep in a takedown, using his long, lengthy arms, he would put in a guillotine. And he actually jumped the ghillie at one point and was very close to getting BSD out of there. But BSD won the round with the control and the volume for majority of the round. So going into round 2, Dan on the feet landed some nice shots. I thought he clearly looked like the better striker. But BSD closed distance quickly. And when he did, Dan went for guillotines more. But BSD was able to get on top again and land some nasty ground and pound. And it seemed like, I think there was like a minute and a half of just BSD going to work. It looked like Dan might survive with about 30 seconds left, but BSD continued to pour it on with some nasty elbows through the guard, and he eventually got the finish with seconds to remain. Again, I thought, as I expected, Dan was looking good as a striker, a lot better striker, but he needed to defend those takedowns. He didn't do enough. He needed to keep the fight standing to have a chance. So BSD keeps rolling. Brutal loss for the fun striker in Australia for Dan Hooker. Statistically, Dan landed 51 total strikes, 30 of them significant. He was 0 for 1 in takedown attempts with 2 submission attempts. And Benoit landed 170 total strikes, 97 of them significant. He had 2 takedowns and 9 attempts, 2 submission attempts, and 6 minutes and 14 seconds of control time. So Benoit extends that winning streak to 4. He is 7-2 since 2023. He moves up 3 spots in the rankings to number 5. And Dan extends his losing streak to 2. He is 2-2 since 2023, and he drops 2 spots to number 8. So what's next? Logically, it should probably be Benoit and Paddy Pimblett. I don't think Paddy is going to be ready soon enough, and the rest of the top of the division needs to shake things out. So the only other top-ranked option in the first half of the year, I think, is Mateusz Gamrot. And for Dan, I do think after some time off, that fight with Paddy Pimblett is the fight to make because of the bad blood. Would love to see it, honestly. And then the main event. Alexander and still Volkanovski with the unanimous decision over Diego Lopez. Fight of the night. 100 G's to the champ. If you don't know, now you know. I try to tell y'all it's going to be just like the first fight, if not better. But man, last weekend we had amazing walkouts. I got to see him in person. Sean O'Malley, Paddy Pimblett. Volk comes out at UFC 325 to Down Under. Was really special. He finally got to have a moment in Sydney with the win, especially later in his career. And it's been since he pretty much made his UFC debut he was able to do so. The scene was crazy. The vibes were strong. But when it came to the fight, it pretty much played out to the first, similarly to the first fight. Much of us expected Diego to maybe be more wild and take some more chances in this fight, especially in the tight exchanges. He might look to wrestle more. But he didn't shoot his first takedown until round 2, and then he did again in round 5. But he was down all but one round in my opinion. I gave Diego round 3 due to some of the big shots he landed, but Volk throughout the entire fight was in total control. He controlled the pace, the distance, the grappling. His footwork made it so Diego couldn't cut the cage and land big combinations. It was hard for him to track the champ down. And honestly, Diego was pretty flat-footed, and when he was flat-footed, Volk would counter and push him back. Volk showcased that he is not slowing down at all. He has plenty more fight left in him. And he actually talked about the camp being tough and was hoping to get a finish. Regardless, what a display. And supposedly he had a injured shoulder coming into the fight, which makes it even more impressive. I mean, Volkanovski is getting close to the top 3 of all time. If you beat the winner of Mosar and Lerone and one more and retire, you got to be right there. The challenge is I got John Jones 1, probably George St. Pierre up there. If you already lost to Islam, Islam probably has to be higher. But looking at the stats, complete domination. Volk landed 112 strikes, 98 of them significant. He had 2 takedowns in 7 attempts, a submission attempt, and 2 minutes and 49 seconds of control time. Now, Diego landed 74 total strikes, 70 significant. He had 2 takedowns in 5 attempts, and a minute and 50 seconds of control time. So Alexander extends that winning streak to 2. He is 3-3 since 2023. He ties Jose Aldo for the most title defenses in the featherweight division. Clearly expect to break that. And Diego starts a new losing streak. He is 6-3 since 2023. He stays at number 2 in the featherweight division. So what's next? Well, it seems like he's going to have to wait for the winner of Mosar and Lerone Murphy. And for Diego, I think he could take either the loser of that fight if he wants to stay active. But if not, I'd love to see him square up with Aljamain Sterling. But UFC 325, what a doozy. Volkanovski putting on a show. The walkout gives me goosebumps. Benoit Saint-Denis getting back on the winning track. Man, he's going to be a tough out. And Mauricio Ruffy looking like a serious sniper. Feel bad for Fiziev. I love to see him fight. He is such a stud. Tough return for Ty. Taliesin Teixeira is a unit. And Quillian Salkild, man, he is on a rocket ship. But that sets us up for this weekend. Back to the Apex we go. The expanded Apex with a little bit more seats for fans in the arena. This is going to kick off at 2 p.m. Pacific for the prelims. Main card 6 p.m. Pacific. Of course, all on Paramount Plus. To preview this card, I think the prelims have multiple solid fights that are great matchups. But the main card is fantastic for an Apex event. I like all 6 of the main card fights. They have quality names. I am previewing this a 6 out of 10. Some good fights we will not break down. We have Muin Gafurov taking on Jacob Wilklotz. I think that's a 50-50 fight. And then Bruna Brazil taking on Ketlin Souza. I'll favor Ketlin Souza in here, but if Bruna can get wrestling going early, she has a chance. So let's kick it off in the prelims. We have Wang, the Joker Kong, 33 years old with an 8-1 record and the number 12 next to her name, taking on Eduarda Ronda Mora, 31 years old with a 12-1 record and the number 13 next to her name. So we get 12 and 13, both one loss, both in their primes. I mean, the expectation was that Wang was going to come into the UFC by storm, but after losing to Gabriela Fernandez and having back-to-back decision victories, it's proven that it's not that easy for an already 33-year-old who transitioned from kickboxing and is mostly known for winning a decision against Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing back in 2015. It's not that easy to come to the UFC and just handle work. And Eduarda is a tough opponent. She's also in her prime. You know, both women need a win now more than ever. But I expect a fun, well-rounded fight. But I also expect Wang to have the striking advantage, Eduarda the grappling and BJJ advantage. So breaking it down, Wang has a kickboxing, boxing, and Sanda style. She trains out of Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber. She was the 2013 world champion in women's Sanda. She has the second fastest knockout and finish in women's flyweight division history, 1 minute 2 seconds against Victoria Leonardo. She is a Road to the UFC alum. She's on a 2-fight winning streak, 3-1 in the UFC. Now, Eduarda is a Thunder Fight and Contender Series alum. She's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 4-1 in the UFC. 5 of her 12 wins are via submission, 4 via knockout, so 9 of her 12 wins via finish. Now, Eduarda has also had some struggles making weight. So definitely something to keep an eye on, especially with the weight misses this last week. But I do think this fight's going to come down to a close decision. As long as Wang is able to defend takedowns enough and outstrike Mora on the scorecards. I do expect Mora to get some takedowns, but I don't think she's going to be able to hold Wang down and win with control time. For that reason, I'm taking Wang Kong. We are putting her on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Moving on. Again, these are very, very quality matchups for an Apex prelim. If you don't know these fighters, I highly recommend tuning in. We have Saeed Nurmagomedov, 33 years old with an 18-5 record, taking on Javid the Snow Leopard Basharat, 30 years old with a 14-2-1 record. Again, a very evenly contested fight. Both men in their primes, everything on the line if they want to move up in a very, very deep bantamweight division. Saeed has had a chance against some of the top fighters in the division, but he hasn't fared very well. And Javid has had the same issue, which makes a win here even more important for both men. You know, Javid is a grappler first, while Saeed is a kickboxer first. Javid has also struggled taking his opponents down of late. He was knocked out early in his last fight almost a year ago. But breaking this down, Saeed has fight of the night and performance of the night in 2 of his last 3 fights. He's showing up. He's showing out. He's on a 2-fight losing streak and is 1-3 since 2023. 6 of his 18 wins are via submission, 4 via knockout, so 10 of his 18 wins via finish. Javid trains out of Extreme Couture. He's an Octagon and Contender Series alum. He's on a 2-fight losing streak and is 1-2-1 since 2023. 6 of his 14 wins are via submission, 5 via knockout, so 11 of his 14 wins via finish. Again, I would expect this to be a very close decision. You know, both men have spurts of success, but I think Javid really takes it to the next level with his offensive grappling and steals a decision with a hard-fought battle. I do expect both men to be the best versions of themselves, but I expect both men to have success striking. And Javid really needs to be careful when it comes to things like knees up the middle when he's in close or shooting, and some of Saeed's crazy spinning techniques. He could catch anybody. For the sake of picking, I'm going to take Javid Basharat, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. Moving on, we have Alex, the Great White Morano, 35 years old with a 24-12-1 record, taking on Daniil Danchenko, only 24 years old with a 13-2 record. Now, this is a very unique style showdown because Daniil is very creative and a powerful striker at only 24. You know, Alex is a veteran with a ton of experience, and he has really weird movement, some sneaky power, and solid striking defense. He has that awkward movement that is hard to track down, but I expect Danchenko just to pressure him and force the opportunity and find opportunities to land damage. If you want to know one thing about Daniil Danchenko, he's violent. His knee, his elbows, his power, he always gets his opponents bloodied and beaten up. Breaking it down, Alex has an orthodox stance. He trains out of Fortis MMA. He has a second-degree black belt in BJJ, a black belt in Taekwondo. He's a Legacy FC alum and former champion. 7 of his 24 wins are via submission, 6 via knockout, so 13 of his 24 wins via finish, and 4 of his 12 losses are via knockout. Now, Daniil is an Ultimate Fighter alum and champion. He's on a 5-fight winning streak, 1-0 in the UFC, and 8 of his 12 wins are via knockout. Now, Alex could be patient and counter Daniil based off his aggression, or it would probably be smart to try to take Daniil down. I think Daniil just has more in his striking arsenal and is going to hit Alex from everywhere. For that reason, I'm taking Daniil Danchenko, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. Moving on to the main card, an interesting last-minute opponent change. We have Dustin, the Hanyak Jacoby, 37 years old with a 21-9-1 record, taking on Julius Juicebox Walker, 26 years old with a 7-1 record. Now, Julius was originally booked to fight Yaron Satibaldiev, but the veteran Dustin took the fight on a few weeks' notice. Dustin has stacked together a couple of knockout wins, and he's going to get a striking-friendly opponent, as Julius is still very green, but he's getting a big step up in competition. Breaking it down, Dustin has a kickboxing style. He has an orthodox stance. He trains out of Factory X. He is a 2013 Glory kickboxing champion. He's had 2 stints with the UFC, and he's been everywhere. He's a Cage Fury, World Series of Fighting, Titan FC, Bellator, and Contender Series alum. He's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 3-3 since 2023, and 14 of his 21 wins are via knockout. Now, Julius is 1-1 in the UFC. 4 of his 7 wins are via knockout, 2 via submission, so 6 of 7 via finish. He is a finisher. I like Julius coming green from basketball. He has improved each fight. He does seem like a fun prospect, but the level of experience and fighting IQ that Dustin has, I just don't believe that Julius has a chance unless he is able to work on his improved grappling, take Dustin down multiple times, and hold him there, and I am not betting on that. For that reason, I'm taking Justin Jacoby. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Moving on. If you want to watch just a brilliant display of mixed martial arts, this is the fight for you. We have Farid Ferocious Basharat, 28 years old with an undefeated 14-0 record, taking on Jean Matsumoto, 26 years old with a 17-1 record. Both men close to being undefeated. Again, very fun, crazy skills on the line, evenly matched fight. 2 young studs who have great grappling, have insanely high pace, and can mix their attack in very well. I personally think that Farid is just a little bit better everywhere, but Jean has a very impressive, past few fights. He had his last fight beating Miles Johns and damn near beating Rob Font in the fight before that. So you can't count him out. But breaking this down, Farid has an orthodox stance. He trains out of Extreme Couture with his brother, both on the card. He's also an Octagon and Contender Series alum. He's undefeated on a 14-fight winning streak, 6-0 in the UFC, and 6 of his 14 wins are via submission. Now, Jean is an LFA and Contender Series alum. He's on a 1-fight winning streak. He's 4-1 in the UFC. 6 of his 17 wins are via submission. Now, sometimes when you get two high-level grapplers squaring off, you shouldn't be surprised if the fight stays standing for majority of the fight. I think John, who is a former flyweight fighter, will have the speed advantage, but I do think Farid will have the technical boxing advantage. Jean is going to have to make this fight a brawl and get Farid to steer away from his game plan. I think both men are going to be aggressive mixing in takedowns, but Farid is going to win that battle when it happens. But I do expect Jean, if he gets outstruck, to mix in takedown after takedown. I am going to take Farid Basharat, but I am also avoiding this on any parlay. Very fun, evenly contested matchup. Moving on, we have Marc-Andre Powerbar Burial, 35 years old with a 17-10-1 record, taking on Michal Husar Oleksiy Jashuk, 30 years old with a 21-9-1 record. Now, McCall seemed like his days with the UFC were numbered not that long ago. And then he got back on track, getting back-to-back first-round knockouts. The problem for me is he's taking on a vet who does a lot of things well that are weaknesses of Oleksiy Jashuk, especially things like clinch work and grappling. I'm actually pretty baffled that Mark is a plus 255 dog. I think this is a lot closer than the odds suggest. Breaking it down, Mark trains out of Killcliff FC with a bunch of killers. He has a blue belt in BJJ. His last 2 fights have been fight of the night or performance of the night. He's showing up. He's showing out. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 3-4 since 2023. And 11 of his 17 wins are via knockout. Now, McCall has recently changed teams, training with the Fighting Nerds. We know how hot they are. He has a purple belt in BJJ. He has the 3rd most first-round knockouts in UFC history with 8 of them things. He has the most knockdowns landed in the shortest span in a bout. He had 3 knockdowns in 44 seconds against Gadzi Murad Antigulov. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. He's 3-4 since 2023. 16 of his 21 wins via knockout, but 6 of his 9 losses via submission. Now, Powerbar has been knocked out twice in 2 years. It could be possible that his chin is gone. He has been rocked many times in his last fight as well, so this could fare very well for McCall. I think the first round is going to be key because we're going to see if Mark can get takedowns and can handle the speed of McCall, who has been with the new team for about a year and I think has improved. I just think that Mark isn't going to stand at striking distance and let McCall tee off on him. I think he's going to do whatever he can to close distance, get in clinch, wear him against the cage, dirty box, or get him down. If McCall can get his hands on him early, I think that's his best path because I don't see how he's going to win this via decision. Mark is nicknamed Powerbar for a reason. For that reason, I'm taking the underdog, the dog's coming to eat. I'm taking Marc-Andre Burial, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. Moving on, we have Jailton Maladino Almeida, 34 years old with a 22-4 record and the number 6 next to his name, taking on Rizvan Kuniev, 33 years old with a 12-3-1 record. Now, we don't know much about Rizvan, except that he is a massive heavyweight. He was able to hang with Curtis Blades, and in that fight defended 13 of his 15 takedowns. Very, very impressive. But this is going to be key for this fight because Jailton lives off his grappling as well. Breaking it down, Jailton has an orthodox style. He has a black belt in BJJ. He He is a Thunder Fight and Contender Series alum. He has the fewest strikes absorbed per minute in UFC history at 0.88. And he has the fewest strikes absorbed per minute in UFC heavyweight history at 0.98. He has the highest control time percentage in UFC history and heavyweight history at 84.2% and 82.8% in heavyweight. He has the third most top position time in UFC heavyweight division history, 39 minutes and 21 seconds. He has the highest top position time percentage in UFC history and heavyweight history at 77.2% and 75.8% in heavyweight. He has the most submissions per 15 minutes in UFC heavyweight history at 2.22. He has the most ground control time in a UFC bout, 21 minutes and 10 seconds against Derek Lewis. He has the most takedowns landed in a UFC heavyweight round. He had 9 in round 1 against Curtis Blades, and he lost that fight. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 5-2 since 2023. 13 of his 22 wins are via submission, 8 via knockout. So 21 of his 22 wins via finish. Life in the bigger divisions, he's a finisher. But he also has 2 of his 4 losses via knockout. And in this fight, he has a 3-inch reach advantage and a 2.5-inch leg reach advantage. Now, Rizvan has an orthodox style. He's an Eagle FC, Contender Series 2-time, and PFL alum. He's on a 1-fight losing streak. He's 1-1 in the UFC. 6 of his 12 wins are via knockout. Now, I think Jailton has better takedown offense than Curtis does. But if Rizvan can avoid being controlled early, I think he has a chance at finishing Jailton. But I'm not betting on that. Jailton has a lot more experience, and I think that Rizvan would have to catch a lucky shot. For that reason, I'm taking Jailton Almeida, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. Moving on to the co-main, we have Amir the Prince Albazi, 32 years old with a 17-2 record and the number 6 next to his name, taking on Kyoji Horiguchi, 35 years old with a 35-5-1 record and the number 8 next to his name. Now, Kyoji wins this fight, he's probably going to get a title shot. Alexandre Pantoja wants it. They train together at American Top Team. But Amir hasn't fought in over a year after his loss to Brandon Moreno, which is only his second pro loss. Amir at 32 is in the middle of his prime, and I think this fight is closer than the odds are suggesting. But Amir should have the offensive wrestling advantage, but I do think Kyoji is a better striker, and unless Amir has added new striking arsenal in that time off, I think he has to rely on getting takedowns to win this fight. I think Kyoji is just too fast. Also, Amir has a new gym for his 3rd time in 3 years. I don't know how that's going to fare well for his skills. Regardless, both men are well-rounded. I just think Kyoji has way more experience, and he has obviously fought for the flyweight title against Demetrius Johnson way back in 2015. Breaking it down, Amir trains out of Fight Ready MMA here in Scottsdale. He has a purple belt in BJJ. He's a Bellator and Brave alum. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 1-1 since 2023. 9 of his 17 wins are via submission, 5 via knockout, so 14 of his 17 wins are via finish. And Kyoji has a Shotokan karate, kickboxing, and shoot fighting style. He trains out of American Top Team. He has a second degree black belt in Shotokan karate. He debuted in the UFC back in 2015. He was undefeated until losing to Demetrius Johnson for the belt. Shortly after, signed with Rizin. In Rizin, he was a champion with 1 successful title defense. And when he went to Bellator, he fought Sergio Pettis for the belt, but lost. He was a 2018 Fighter of the Year. He's on a 6-fight winning streak. He did have a no contest in between. 15 of his 35 wins are via knockout, 6 via submission, so 21 of his 35 wins via finish. Very impressive for a flyweight. Now, I would suggest this probably goes to a close decision, Amir may be stealing around with control time, but Kyoji is a much better point fighter. He has a more mixed bag of attacks. He has better footwork, and I think he has a speed advantage. Kyoji knows he is going to get a crack at his ATT teammate if he gets a win here, so I do think he fights smart, and if taken down, there may even be chances for him to reverse Amir or get back up. For that reason, I'm taking Kyoji Horiguchi. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. And this sets us up for a very fun main event in the bantamweight division. We have Mario Bautista, 32 years old with a 16-3 record, and the number 9 next to his name, taking on Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira, 30 years old with a 23-3 record, and the number 11 next to his name. I personally think this is very much a striker versus grappler showdown, but Vinicius has sneaky takedown defense, and Mario is pretty damn good at striking as well. But this is a big jump up in competition for Oliveira, but he's 30 years old, kicking off his prime. He should be ready to go, and showcased he is in his last fight against Mario's teammate at the MMA Lab, Kyler Phillips, back in July. I think Kyler is a very quick and talented striker, but Vinicius was able just to walk him down, push him back, and was much more powerful. I don't think he's going to be able to pressure Mario and get Mario on his back foot. I do think Mario does that to Vinicius and Vinicius looks to counter Mario. Breaking it down, Mario trains out of the MMA Lab here in Arizona. He has a black belt in BJJ. He's an LFA alum. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 5-1 in his last 6 fights. 6 of his 16 wins are via submission. Now, Vinicius is a Contender Series alum. He's on a 6-fight winning streak, 5-0 in the UFC. 16 of his 23 wins are via knockout. All 3 of his losses are also via knockout. So to knock out or be knocked out. The interesting thing to this fight is that it's a main event. I think that this is a 5-round fight. It's going to favor Mario. I think Mario is going to come forward the whole fight and put a pace on Vinicius like he does all of his opponents. I do think the first 2 rounds, Vinicius needs to showcase his power to Mario and be aggressive like he was against his teammate Kyler. I definitely think Mario is going to bring in the takedown attempts to avoid that. And it also helps Mario and team that Kyler just fought him, so him and his team could come up with a great game plan. For that reason, I'm taking Mario Bautista, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays where possible. Fun little fight night. The 6 fights on the main card are great. Bautista Oliveira, Kyoji Horiguchi against Albazi, Almeida Rizvan, Powerbar McCall will be fun. Clash of Styles, Farid Bashrat John Matsumoto, absolutely fantastic fight. And that sets us up. We get a week off. Get the Valentine's week, President's Day week. And then we're back with another fight night, but it's location based in Houston, Texas. And this is a fun loaded fight night card. It's headlined by number 3, Sean Strickland, and number 4, Anthony Hernandez. I'm excited to break this down with you guys after the week off and get back into that MMA action. But this is episode 132. I'm your host, Shane Gillette. See you next week.